I guess in the viewer mailbag here, perhaps you kind of touched on this really. Our concern was that XP is not being supported anymore. What can we do to deal with the XP side?
As I said, this appears to be the first significant vulnerability since XP
Mm-hmm.
went out of receiving patches anymore, went out of support, that where XP is conceivably vulnerable. In this particular case, your choices are really limited to probably using a different browser if you're not willing to upgrade to a newer version of Windows. That said, the folks that did pay for extended support, and there have been in the news a couple of significant large agencies that have done that. They will actually get a patch for this most likely.
Right.
But the majority of users out there that are still running XP, to avoid this one, you're going to have to probably avoid IE.
Right. Right. And so, I guess the thing that comes to mind is, we've talked about ATMs that still have XP in them and things. My guess, and this is a guess, but my guess is they're not really using a browser at all. But you think that's a reasonable assumption?
The issue is the way that Internet Explorer is tied in so deeply to the bowels of the Windows operating system. It's almost impossible to run a Windows OS and rip IE out entirely. So even though ideally you shouldn't ever be using a browser on those embedded type systems for much of anything, IE is probably still installed there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably an older version, a vulnerable version. So
Right.
but that's conjecture on my part. I don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who works in that industry, and maybe I ought to hit him up and ask him some questions on that.
All right. Well, perhaps there'll be some additional commentary for next week on this topic.